This episode is brought to you by the Boo Chow Radio Podcast, Episode 9. If you haven't seen it yet, please click on the link in the description box on your right. And to all my over 100 subscribers out there, thank you very much, and I'm here to give you... Round 3, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back versus Spyro 2, Riptos Rage. After having huge success out of their games, there was no doubt that they had to make a sequel out of them. Both Crash 2 and Spyro 2 were huge improvements to their predecessors, and I don't say that lightly. With all honesty, when I was a kid, and still today, I prefer these sequels over the originals because it felt more like a whole than the first games. Sure, both of these sequels didn't change the gameplay, but they added much more features than the first one, so I can't set that aside. Instead of continuing on saying that these games are better than their predecessors, let me examine these sequels to see which are the better game. In 1997, Naughty Dog released Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. The formula of the game is the same from the last, but only this time, Naughty Dog took everything that was from the first game and made it better. The controls are really spot on. You're now able to do the baseball slide as an attack, and the controls are much better than the first. Most importantly, the animation is so much better than the original Crash Bandicoot. Sure, the shadowing and the darkness has been really dumbed down from the last, but the designs, animation, and the movement of Crash Bandicoot 2 is much better than the first. Everything that was good from the first game was even better in this game. Taking place in Insanity Island, Crash Bandicoot 2 begins when Cortex survived the destruction of his empire. His plan is to collect all the crystals in Insanity Island and use them for his weapons technology to conquer the world. Meanwhile, Crash's sister Coco ran out of batteries for her laptop and asked Crash to pick up some. Hold it right there. Just how did Coco enter the scene as Crash's sister? Wasn't Crash created by Cortex? And what happened to Talna, Crash's girlfriend? Did they take her off because she was too sexy for the younger players? I don't know. But anyway, Crash is abducted by Neo Cortex, being forced by Cortex to collect all these crystals to do his dirty work in return for his freedom. Crash is then thrust into several parts of Insanity Island in order to gather the crystals and allow Cortex to contain the power of upcoming planetary alignment to keep the planet from being destroyed. Crash is then joined by his sister, who is suspicious of Cortex's true intentions, and particularly by Dr. Nitrous Brio, who tries to persuade Crash to gather gems instead of crystals. Now in Spyro's sequel. You should already know that I've done a review on Spyro 2 Riptos Rage, and if you haven't seen it yet, check it out for yourself. In the meantime, let's compare this game to Crash 2. Like Crash 2, Spyro 2 took everything from the first game and made it much better, giving us something new. You're now able to hover, which is a huge improvement to reach from platforms to platforms, and you are able to head smash, climb on walls, and the biggest improvement of them all, you are now able to swim underwater, which is the best swimming mechanics ever in a video game. I'm serious, we have games in the year 2010 that does not get their swimming mechanics done right, and this game was released in 1999. You have new collectibles in this game, talismans which are a total of 14, and orbs which would later become very important in the game. Getting orbs in this game is a lot more challenging and a lot more fun than collecting talismans, because for every orbs that you try to collect, there's always a little challenge or a mini game you can play in. Also, collecting gems becomes more important than the last game, where you use them to play money bags, abilities, and paths. You use all these collectibles to reach bosses and enter the last stage, Dragon Shores. I wish I had time to talk about the story, but you can check it out in my review, but anyway, let's continue on. There's no denying that both Crash 2 and Spyro 2 has greatly improved, so let's look more in depth and see which game is better. Crash 2 is more than just jungle and sci-fi Frankenstein themes. You are now able to select whatever level you want to play. There are a lot more things to collect than getting 100%. You need to smash all the crates in the level and collect a crystal to complete a level. Instead of collecting icons of Crash's girlfriend to enter a bonus level, you are now able to find bonus levels by stepping into a platform with a question mark on it, which leads you to a bonus level. The levels offers more challenge and replay value. Most importantly, the game is less linear than the original Crash Bandicoot, and it feels great to move more freely than ever before. But yet, Crash 2 is stuck with linear platforming, and Spyro 2's made this installment of the series more non-linear than the last game. By non-linear, I mean you have much more to explore than any other platformer at the time. I mean, how many water levels do you enjoy without having issues with the control? The collectibles in Spyro 2 feels more rewarding than the collectibles of Crash 2. I know that I heavily criticized the character designs in the first game, but Spyro 2's designs of the enemies, levels, and controls and atmosphere is heavily improved.
Crash's story was more darker and engaging than the first one, but Spyro took it to the next level, not only helping his friends to defeat Ripto, but also help other people from other worlds with their problems. This makes each of the levels more memorable than any of the levels Crash Bandicoot has ever put out. What's even more memorable than Spyro 2 than Crash Bandicoot 2 is the characters. I know that I heavily criticized the voice acting in the first game, but Spyro 2 has more enjoyable characters than before in anything that the Crash series can put out. Moneybags was hilarious, the Professor was charming, Elora was just lovable, and Hunter was the best, and the villains were hilarious and very memorable. Despite the improvements that Crash 2 has on animation, designs, and controls, let's just face it, the gameplay is repetitive. Just grab the crystal and reach to point B. Even though some of the themes are different, I just can't help but to think that I just played a level similar to the one before.
Like the last game, Crash 2 is just cheap at times. In some areas you have to sacrifice many lives until you get the level's layout memorized. Even though the bosses are challenging at times, it's a big disappointment that the last boss, Dr. Neo Cortex, you are now chasing him, which ruins the excitement just like the first Spyro's final boss, Nasty Nork. Spyro 2 has more improvements than anything that Crash 2 has. The one thing I disliked about Spyro 2 is the lava level, Magma Cone. But still, one level can't just ruin the entire game, while you still have a lot of varieties that Insomniac Games has put out. Engaging to play, solid story for platformer game standards, and non-repetitive gameplay. That's the biggest issue I have with Crash 2 because it's repetitive of gameplay. Despite its improvement on story and graphics, it still feels like the same game as the first. For everybody who's disagreeing with me right now, you have to think about this. Would you want to play a linear game that has repetitive gameplay and level designs that use the same formula from its prequel, or play a game that not only improves on everything, but as well made more varieties, features, and more non-linear adventure and more non-repetitiveness? I don't know about you guys, but I think Spyro 2 is the more improved sequel than Crash 2. And most of all, I can understand that you guys can choose Crash 2 over Spyro 2 because you're a Crash fan. But for everybody out there who says the first Spyro game is the best of the series, then in my eyes, you're wrong. My score for Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back is a 4 fingers out of 5, and my score for Spyro 2 Riptos Rage is a strong 5 fingers out of 5. I rest my case and declare this round to Insomniac Games as the clear winner without question. Everybody, thank you very much for watching this video, and sorry that the audio quality was going good at the beginning and later on it became crappy. I'm using my new headphones because my Rock Band microphone is broken, and this one cost me 40 bucks. Yeah, not worth the money. But anyway, tune in next time to see round 3 to see which third installment of the series is the best.